Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles, and on this episode we're going to talk about Carlito and R-Truth. And more specifically, both have come out today, as far as I've seen, and said that their contracts are not going to be renewed by WWE, which is a little bit of a surprise for both of them in my opinion. So what I'm going to do here is something I like to do when they do releases: give a little bit of a positive spin on it and see what might be next for a wrestler. Now, the first thing I want to bring up, I am going to mention both of these guys' ages because I do think it's important as to what their next trajectory will be. We're going to start off with Carlito. Now, Carlito, you could say what you want about he hasn't been used much, but he's been great comedy for the Judgment Day. He's been a great pin eater for the Judgment Day. He doesn't lose any heat when he loses. He's a great tag partner. He's, like I said, a great guy that if you don't want Dominic to get pinned, he gets pinned. If you don't want Finn to get pinned, you can pin Carlito. Carlito is 46 years old, which is 2 years younger than me, so he's kind of in my age group. Actually, both these guys kind of are, and I think that's a big part of this. Me being a heavier guy, I think I have some of the same, maybe daily issues that a wrestler might have from the wear and tear of years of abusing your body, so I'm going to kind of keep that in mind. For Carlito, the second thing I seen just yesterday, he won the WWC World Championship, which when I seen it, I thought, oh, that's cool. Maybe WWE is going to use that and start cross-promoting with them. They're doing stuff with TNA. They bought AAA. There's always been some back and forth with the WWC where they've lent talent, they borrowed talent. So I thought that was maybe the route they were going. What I do see with this, I definitely see him focusing on WWC. I mean, it is basically his father's company. I don't know if that's something that's going to be passed down to him. I actually don't know if his father is still the owner or if he sold out, but I think that's going to be his base of operations. I think he's going to stay WWC. Now, what I could see with that is his cousin Orlando and his brother Eddie, they're both in TNA right now, and they also do WWC. I could see him having a similar schedule with them, coming over, doing six-man matches, doing his own stuff in TNA, and also, working WWC. So I think that's going to be his main thing. I kind of like to see maybe he goes to WWC in Puerto Rico and has kind of a relationship with WWE, somewhat like with Booker T and Reality of Wrestling, and they use maybe some NXT people, and it's kind of used as another place where they could develop some wrestlers. Maybe that's just wishful thinking in my mind, but I'd like to see him do something like that. I think he has the talent. I think he has a skill. I think he can help in several different ways like that. That's where I think his future is being basically the face of WWC. Now we're going to go on to R-Truth. Probably the most disappointing release, and I would have to say surprising release, because I kind of figured R-Truth would be a lifer, that he would have a career as long as he wanted to have a career. And part of that might be that he may want out of his contract. I haven't seen anything that says he hasn't. We just seen him do great things with John Cena, and he's kind of one of those highly underrated wrestlers on your roster. R-Truth is the kind of wrestler that would be an asset anywhere he goes. And I'm going to bring this up because I do think it's pertinent. R-Truth is 53. Even though he looks the same as he has since his K-Quick days, maybe a tad bit older, but the guy's still in phenomenal shape. He still can go at a really high rate. What I see for him, and this is kind of, I'm not basing this off his talent, I'm basing this off of his age. I could see R-Truth going into semi-retirement, riding off of the WrestleCon, WrestleCade, autograph signings for the next 10, 15, 20 years, heck, the rest of his life, because he will have an audience. Anytime he'll go to one of those signings, he'll have a row of people wanting him to sign their signatures, because he's been such a big part of basically 3, maybe 4 different generations of wrestling fans. When he came in at the tail end of the Attitude Era, he was there for early TNA. He was in WWE for the Ruthless Aggression era, the Cena era, whatever you call it. I think they called it the PG era. And he's been there for this current era. So he's going to have his fans for that. I kind of touched on this with Carlito, but I think even more so with R-Truth. R-Truth should go somewhere and train wrestlers. Whether they pay for him to go to the Performance Center and train there, or he open his own school. If for nothing else, teach them how to diet and exercise, because at 53 years old, R-Truth looks better than some of the guys in their 20s and 30s, or most of the guys in their 30s and 20s. I think he'd be a valuable asset. I've seen him out of character in interviews, and he seems like such a positive guy. I think he'd be a valuable asset to teach wrestlers. He's done everything. He's been an NWA World Champion. He's been a comedy act. He's been tag champions. He's been in main events of big pay-per-views. He's been involved in big storylines. Look at the Judgment Day. His role with Judgment Day, and it's kind of funny that Carlito and R-Truth had somewhat similar roles as the comic relief of Judgment Day, but it was one of the highlights that really brought Judgment Day out of what was kind of a failing faction to being something rather enjoyable. I'd love to see him transform into a trainer, open his own school, work at the Performance Center. I think he'd do great at that. Now, what I could see as far as wrestling-wise, I would think he's most likely going to go to TNA. There's a history there. It's a place where if he thinks he wants to go back to WWE at some point, I think it's an easy place to stay on their radar. It also opens up the possibility for him doing some matches in GCW, which would be amazing as well. I'd love to see him going up against the likes of Effie or Mance Warner in a GCW setting. I'd even like to see him go up against the likes of someone like Dark Sheik, which I think would have an amazing match with him. Even if he did something like Bloodsport, where he got to show a serious side of R-Truth, which he hasn't really shown in a very long time. I think he can do absolutely anything he wants. Out of the two, I think R-Truth will get the most offers to him. And I definitely think there will be an offer coming to R-Truth from AEW, because I think they will look at him as someone that can improve their quality of television. They'll look at him as someone they can inject into their storylines and make their storylines better. But for me, I think TNA is his destination. Either that, or he decides to retire and work on his rap career, which he's been doing pretty much his entire time he's been a wrestler. But I hope the best for him. I actually hope the best for both these guys. These are two wrestlers that I really enjoy. Carlito was a guy that I thought in the Ruthless Aggression era was going to be one of the next big guys. He would have been a multi-time world champion. Unfortunately, supposedly he had attitude issues, which whatever. And R-Truth is a guy I've always thought was underused. They're both guys that I find highly entertaining. They can both wrestle, they can both talk, they can both make you laugh. I love both these wrestlers. I hope nothing but the best for them. But I want to know what you think. What do you think their next destination will be? Let me know down here in the comments. While you're there, smash the like button, share the video, all that great stuff that all the YouTubers tell you to do. But anyway, I digress. My name is George Coles, and this is my opinion on what's next for Carlito and R-Truth.